Wet socks and snow. That's all I got to say.
Oh, so painful. Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting episode of the UnDisrupted Podcast. Adam, AI is all the rage these days. And of course, we're always, we're here live at FETC, and there's a lot of sessions around AI. But let's not talk about the professional uses of it and the ways we use it in education, which is great. There's a lot of great uses for it. What's a way you've used it in your personal life that you can admit on the show without getting us canceled?
The one thing that was pretty cool that I did, and this was using the ChatGPT app on my phone. So during the holiday season, we had some social get-togethers and everything, and I was like, you know what, I want to make a fun cocktail.
Oh, yeah.
And so what I did, I grabbed some ingredients that I had, and I took a picture on my phone, and then I asked ChatGPT from the picture, what type of holiday-inspired beverage can I make from
this picture? And it gave me like all these things, and it was like, okay, if you add a couple more items, you could do this. And I was like, okay, well, I asked it, okay, could I make it different? What other things would I need? It's like, oh, you can add some cranberries, or you could take some thyme and add it in for decor. I'm like, oh, wow. So yeah, it actually. And it turned out okay?
It was amazing.
Okay. That's good. Now you're saying that, now I'm thinking that the next iteration of AI is going to be like product placement, like as it's telling you, oh, you should probably go to the store and buy this as well. That's coming next, right?
Yeah, I can see that's pretty much what Alexa does now, though.
It does. Yeah. Hey, it's been 3 months since you've ordered those filters. Do you want another? Yes.
What about what you got?
For me, so my daughter, my middle child, decided to sign up for a 10K. And which is great, except that she wanted one of the parents to do it, and my wife said it's not going to be her, so by default. And I used to run a lot. Actually, I ran a marathon back in 2003, a long time ago, 50 pounds ago, let's just say.
That was over 2 decades ago.
That is a long time ago. Dude, you make me feel so old now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was still in my 20s. That's right. So I used ChatGPT recently. I knew I had 16 weeks to prepare for this thing. I said, give me a program that goes couch to 10K essentially in 16 weeks for an overweight, 40, almost 50-year-old male. And of course, the first thing it said is like, consult your doctor before you do any of these. But then it made and then I had it do it as a spreadsheet, and I put it up on my fridge. So it actually does day to day, like what to do, off days, on days. And so I'm in week 4. I just started week 4 of that. And it's going okay. It's like run for 1 minute and then walk for 3 minutes. It's like really easing me in. And when I say run, it's more of like a yogging, as we say. It's like walking and
I
jogging.
come with the drink, and you're coming with like the.
I'm trying. It's a new year. We're trying to be healthy, Adam.
Yeah.
But enough about us. We do have a guest. Christine Fox is joining us here. She's the VP of Operations at Cast, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that first. But first, I have to ask you, what is something you use AI for that's not work related?
So thanks for having me.
Yep.
Mine is indoor decor. So my house has some rooms that are really sort of blank and sad, and I wanted to beef them up. So first I just ask questions, like, oh, what are some of the modern trends? How did this work? And then using the picture is really helpful too. So I haven't bought anything yet, but I can see your point about products being placed. That would be a really easy way for certain stores to slide in as well. But it definitely gives you a vision versus having people come to your house and give you ideas and want to sell you stuff.
It was funny. It was one of those image generators, and I asked ChatGPT to have I forget, it was Adobe or whoever, but to basically make a buffalo, which was my daughter's elementary school mascot, make a buffalo drinking a pumpkin spice latte. That's all I said. What do you think the latte looked like? It had a cup, and there was a white cup, and it looks just like Adam's cup right there. The mermaid, it was great, and I was like, I never said Starbucks.
Right.
But I was like, so now you're right. Next iteration is going to be just like they did with TV and movies, and it's product placement is coming. And AI folks heard it here first.
Like the crazy thing now with the NFL games and things being on like Amazon, they now have the QR codes during the Amazon commercials where you can order the item off Amazon in real time when they're doing a commercial.
Yeah.
So they're talking about,
just tell Alexa right now and she'll buy it for you. Yes.
You want to get this Auto Trader car, scan this QR code, and you can order your car today. Like it's really making it way too easy to spend money.
How long until they just hit a button and it 3D prints it in your house and it's there? It's like it just arrived, like the Jetsons, right? We're getting closer.
It's coming.
Tell us a little bit about Cast and the work you're doing there.
Sure. So Cast is a nonprofit. We're originally based out of the Boston area, virtual organization now. What we're most known for is the authoring of the Universal Design for Learning. So UDL, yeah, it's a framework. It is not a curriculum. We like to be clear on that.
Say that louder for those in the back.
And through CAST, we have a variety of teams. We have a research and development. So the UDL guidelines were updated this summer to 3.0. We spent 3 years looking at lit reviews, having cohorts of educators, of young adults, of researchers on how and why UDL works, because we're including all students and addressing learner variability. And then at CAST, we also have, we run some centers that are funded by the Office of Special Education Programs, one of which is part of my role is the Center on Inclusive Technology and Education Systems. So that project itself is about district leadership and how do you ensure inclusion.
Awesome.
So you just mentioned inclusive technology. So, what is that? Because I know some people may hear that and think about their time that they were in school or hulking equipment. So what is inclusive technology and what does that look like? What does it mean?
So when I first think about inclusive technology, when we think of our own personal devices everyone has here on the table, how are those set up, right? So the three of us probably have different font size, different color contrast. We may or may not be using a screen reader on our phone. So inclusive technology is really when every student, every individual in a district setting, whether staff or educator or student, has the opportunity to leverage the accessibility features so that they can use the devices as they best see fit. And it's not limited to, I can have my phone personalized, but my district laptop has maybe something shut off or not accessible to us.
Yeah, I remember my daughter has Chromebooks, and my middle child is dyslexic, and so one of the features on there is where she can do speech to text, which is a game changer for her in her world because she's a creative mind, but just can't write. But when she has that feature on, but we had to go in, and it's school district Chromebook, and of course I know, if Austin ISD is listening, I'm sorry, I know how to hack it, so I went in and made sure that it was a feature that was enabled because they were all blocked at one point. What are the barriers do you see? What barriers do you see as to why you mentioned leadership as a big part of this? What are the barriers about inclusion that you're not? Why is it not just everyone just using it in their classroom? Why is it not something that we just all think about? The teachers are thinking about. Is it just still training, or is it universal design by learning? Is that still something we need to make sure they're figuring out?
Well, UDL is definitely something that folks need to figure out. Another big issue is some educators feel like it's cheating, right? So if you let every child use speech to text, then it might be they're not working as hard, they're not learning how to write. Right. So the research shows students with ADD really can benefit from speech to text because all of their ideas can get out as quickly as possible. Then they might go back and type and refine. And that is, I think, one of the largest barriers. One of my colleagues, Kelly Suding, does a session on it's not cheating and all the reasons why.
Perfect.
It's actually not cheating because we all customize our own devices, right? For our learning or for professionally or at work, but then somehow in the educational setting, things get tightened up.
Autocorrect has been around for a long time, but I remember when it first came out, people were like, wait, is this cheating? And then it was Grammarly to help you kind of make your words look better. Now it's AI, and do we have it write it all for us, or do we have it help us write it? There's a little difference there too. Where's AI play into all of this?
So with AI, a lot of features, accessibility featers are AI driven to begin with.
I'd say we've had it for a long time. It's been around. The secret is out, but yes.
Yeah. So there's that side of it and how AI can enhance accessibility features and options. But the other thing is as tools are being created through AI and, on the vendor floor, there'll be a ton of them here that, are they accessible, right? Are the features available so that anyone can use those features as well as a critical consideration?
Yep.
So let me ask you this: as we start talking about UDL and making more teachers aware and schools aware, how do you see the parents getting involved in this process when they're able to support and advocate for their child to ensure that their schools are turning on these accessibility features, or they're aware that it's not cheating, that this is a way to support their child?
So that is a critical aspect. We have, CAS actually has some variety of resources on family engagement. So specific to the SITES grant that I mentioned, we encourage the districts to include parents in every part of the process. Your tech planning. Do you have users of of assistive technologies and accessibility features on teams that are deciding, right? So when you're picking a curriculum or a tool or service, how are those users of assistive technologies, whether they're a parent or a student, involved? And then we partner with the parent centers. So every state has a parent center. They can advocate for students with disabilities, and they can give services and supports to those families so they have a voice. You know, we've seen a variety where some parents are out and vocal, and they are the change. Maybe like
they hack the computer. Don't tell the district.
Which we're not advocating.
No.
We're not advocating
unless it's your own kid. No.
And then we saw some examples of research we did in blended or virtual programs where parents were reluctant. They didn't want their students assessed, whether culturally it seemed to be something they would be embarrassed about. And so really encouraging the district to involve the families and explaining that they can really help these students. Putting them in a virtual program doesn't make any issues potentially go away. The virtual programs are struggling then to how to support kids. So I think it comes from all sides, parent advocacy groups as well as the district being proactive.
When you go to a conference like this, it's a lot. There's a lot of ed tech tools, and you mentioned having a seat at the table when you're looking at these tools, like talking about the inclusivity of it. What is something you're trying to get out of a conference like FATC? Because again, a lot of the people here are just they're ed tech coaches that get excited about tools, but they're not thinking necessarily about the things you just said. So, what sessions are you going to, or what are some things you're looking at on the exhibit hall floor?
So, asking the hard questions, right? And right now, the Department of Justice has a new ruling. It will go into effect in the U.S. in the spring of 2026. But actually the European similar rule around accessible features and technologies goes into effect this spring in 2025. So
that'll start changing things fast.
Yes. Yeah. So just asking on the vendor floor specifically, tell me about your accessibility features, or how are you accessible? Depending on who you ask the question to, you might get a glass over eyes.
We know this one person. We're going to bring him over to talk to you about it.
Although I do think things are changing a bit, but it is important to ask those hard questions.
Yeah, and the answer should not be, you can read about it on our website.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like if I got to scroll down to the bottom, it's one of those little things at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be an afterthought. I know I had the opportunity to serve on a panel that you guys did yesterday, and one of the things that I know I talked about with the group was, we need to make sure we're having conversations with our vendors and products that it's the universal design is happening when it's being built, like from the ground up, and it's not an add-on to the tool, and you're not charging a district for an accessibility feature.
Right.
It should be something that's out of the box, and in some cases, it should be turned on. We should have to turn off the accessibility features.
I liked that. You said that yesterday.
Closed captioning should be something that you turn off. It should be owned by default in some cases. Especially in classrooms. When you're watching the video with your students, closed captioning should be on.
Right.
But how many times teachers don't take that extra second to go down, click that CC button, because it doesn't bother anybody.
Right.
It just can help.
Yeah. And when I meet with district leaders here or school leaders, we have sample RFP questions that are available. So you can put those and make sure you're being proactive on your side versus purchasing something and then asking the questions, but it's in your request for proposals in advance. And then being a partner with those vendors, because there are some right now that are trying to catch up and it's a tool everybody's using. But if there are students that cannot access a particular tool or feature, you're doing a complete disservice to those kids.
You mentioned that Department of Justice ruling, and it goes into effect next spring of 26. A lot of our listeners are tech leaders. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about that and the EU version too, and what effect that has for school leaders out there listening to this right now, or a tech leader.
Yes. So this, the ruling is actually for all public entities. So K-12 is a part of that.
Okay.
Right. It's a part of that. And for 2026, it's any organizations that serve more than 150. And so some folks have a little bit longer for those smaller districts. Have a little bit longer time. But it takes what was in effect, where mostly related to print materials, right? The IDA law is that everyone needs to have access. Right. But there was not specific details provided around apps, digital content, most of us have heard about websites where folks
the readability, screen reading.
Readability. A lot of people know that in the Department of Ed, most of their Office of Civil Rights complaints are around a district website per se. But so we're moving beyond that now and talking about content, including teacher created content. So they are going to need to have their teachers creating accessible content. It's not that hard. It's just getting in new habits.
Right.
So when you create a slide deck, it needs a title. When you add photos, they need
captions.
Tags. You need videos, turn the captions on. So it's creating new habits. And then of course you have considerations where teachers might not be as innovative and they've been in the classroom a long time and they rinse and repeat.
Yes.
So they're going to have a harder time, right?
This was a great lesson I did in 1985.
Right.
I'm going to keep doing it.
Backwards compliant, I think is what they call it, right? So you have to go back. That's interesting. So it's going to really, it's interesting that a lot of the new tech that's out there now kind of does some of this stuff by default. I was just thinking of TikTok, which my daughter is trained me how to use now. That's going to go away. I don't know, but by default, the closed captioning is great on that. I love that it does the closed captioning, lets you do the different fonts, and I just love watching the videos better because I can read them while I go. But then you think about traditional tech, and it doesn't come on by default, like you were saying. And now with this new ruling, we're going to have to make sure that just becomes part of our lexicon going forward. And it's going to be a little, like I said, it's a lot of them are probably doing it, but it's going to take those teachers, especially those veteran teachers that have their love lessons from 1985.
So social media is actually highlighted in the ruling.
Really?
And yes. So
What is
social media.
Okay.
So we also have some resources around it, but some really simple things, having the captions on, alt text
Alt
or
text,
images, which now does come on the different platforms. It does come on as an option.
Bluesky, it pops right up, I noticed on that,
And on LinkedIn, it's right there.
Yep.
You can, but you still have to click it and create it.
Yeah.
And so they are saying, though, you don't have to go back and fix previous social media posts, but forward-facing social media posts, everyone has to get in those habits, right?
Wow.
So that's a big deal.
That's
for
a big deal. Yeah, don't bury the lead there. That's good. Thank goodness, because I have like 10,000 posts. I would have to go back and all that, but going forward.
The whole thing is when I think about this inclusive culture, it's just one of those things that you're just bringing everybody to the table, and if you do it right, it helps people who don't necessarily need, quote unquote, those changes. I look at it like an elevator. An elevator is, because someone who's in a wheelchair,
right?
It allows them to go up and down the building. I use an elevator all the time.
Right.
It benefits the people who want to use it and those who need to use it. And if you just do it right, it makes it more accessible to any and everybody.
Yep.
And we want people to learn. We want them to be a part of it. We need to be thinking about how can we put structure in place to support everybody, no matter what their walk of life, where they're coming from. And it's good and decent.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, the captions, I have 2 teenagers. They don't watch Netflix without captions.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Every show is with captions now. That's funny.
I learned Spanish as an adult as a second language, and having captions on in the language that you're learning is so powerful.
Ooh, yes.
So if anyone here is trying to learn another language, you can go on. But I have now embraced audio descriptions because audio descriptions are where if something's happening and there is no sound or anyone talking, well, I'm making dinner, doing laundry, whatever it is, you don't have to look at the TV, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to see what they're doing, but you can hear those descriptions. I was wrapping Christmas presents, and I just listened to a whole series. So the audio captioning is my new favorite feature.
Okay.
We always ask this of all of our guests too. Is this world with all the things and all the work you're doing? I mean, you're probably getting information thrown at you in all different directions. How do you keep yourself undisrupted? How do you keep yourself what are some wellness tips that you do? Obviously, it sounds like you multitask quite well.
Yeah.
You're listening to audio descriptions and
binge watch Caption Zone.
So for 2025, I'm an early morning person, and my real goal is to not start working in the morning, but actually, whether I read a passage, I do some meditation, I pray, whatever it is, where I just sit and think and have my coffee and zen myself
center,
before I turn on the laptop, because first of all, a lot of times I get into that and then I don't go work out because I get all into work.
You see that first email and then it goes down.
It's all, yeah. So that is, I had been in a good habit of not starting on my phone, but now it's okay. Even if it's 5 minutes, it's just 5 minutes.
I love that. Yeah, we're trying to say good morning to our kids and each other before we say good morning to our phone, because we've noticed that that's a quick pickup. It's like, oh, first thing in the morning, it's like, oh, what are we doing? Instead, let's try to say good morning to each other. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I just moved my phone away from my nightstand. I was always the last thing that went down besides me was my phone next to me, and I'm like, okay, I need to move it to the other side of the room, so it's just not that easy pickup for me.
Mine is all of our devices there's no more devices allowed upstairs. My kids are throwing the biggest fit. We've been talking about this, has been a rule for a while, but we just started enforcing it. And they're like, why do we not? I was like, nope, no devices upstairs. You can't have them in your bedrooms. Nice. You have to ask if you're going to go up there with a friend and play Roblox or whatever, but just let us know. But it is like, man, we started World War III in our house. When you got teens and tweens that are like, now you're telling us we can't do this.
Yeah, because we have kids of similar age. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm dropping tips to you. Yeah. Where can people find out more about you and the great work you're doing?
Sure. So cast.org. Okay. I'm on X at CA Fox, and then I'm also on LinkedIn. And we're always happy to connect and share a variety of resources that are available to the public and openly licensed. So use them as you best.
So how much are these amazing resources?
How much are they?
Openly licensed and available for free.
$3.99. Our favorite price. Our favorite price. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And to our followers out there, be sure to subscribe and like and give us a review. We might even give you a shout out on a future show. This has been the UnDisrupted Podcast, brought to you by All for Ed. He's Adam, and you can follow him at AskAdam3.
And he's Carl, and you can follow him at Hooker Tech.
There you got it.
All platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together.
And we are better undisrupted.